Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Mustache MMA. Welcome to Parlay Plays, Episode 10, UFC Fight Night in Columbus. Curtis Blaydes versus Chris Daukaus. I'm going to go through a couple different variations of parlays that I'm going to play on this card. Those variations are even money parlays, which are 1 unit plays that are anywhere from near even to about plus 200. Juicy Parlays, which are half unit plays, anywhere from plus 300 to plus 800, and Longshot Parlays, which are quarter unit plays on parlays that are plus 1,000 or more. So yeah, before I get into the parlays for this week, I'm going to go over the results of last week. So not a great week yesterday. We still hit one, so we kind of somewhat broke even, but this month for the parlays hasn't been too great. Nevertheless, we went 1 of 6, 1 win, 5 losses, 3.5 units in play like usual, and only 2.05 units returned. You can actually see here our March net is minus 0.85 units. But our 2022 net is still pretty big in the positive as of right now for positive 9.7 units. So yeah, as you can see, even on the percentages here, only hitting 22% of the parlays in March ain't gonna do it, and hitting 31% overall for 2022, which obviously puts us in the green. But yeah, going over those specific parlays really quick. The only one to hit was Taporia inside the distance, Pimlet inside the distance. That was barely plus money, but nevertheless plus money. And then all the other ones were losses, although a lot of them did have at least one leg that hit, besides the other even money parlay. So Grundy money line over 2.5, McCann, Carolina, fight goes the distance, both lost. McKenna Reed fight goes the distance, that hits. Nelson sub or the second or the third, that loses, but Nelson almost had that sub in the second and the third a couple times. Makaev decision, Aspinall inside the distance. Makaev decision didn't happen. Aspinall inside the distance won. Carolina decision, Reed decision. Reed got the split win. Carolina got knocked out in the third. And then Shore decision, Hooker decision. Shore got the decision, and obviously Hooker got knocked out early in the first round. So yeah, I mean, generally, as long as you hit one of these parlays, you'll be down a little bit. You won't be in a huge hole. I mean, even if I lose all 3, I'm only down 3.5 units, which isn't bad. Which is why I like these parlay plays, because it gives you a little bit more fun and you're not risking too much of your bankroll. And generally speaking, besides March, we've been somewhat successful with it. But obviously March hasn't been the best. But hey, we're looking to turn that around here at UFC Fight Night in Columbus. Curtis Blaydes versus Chris Daukaus. So let's get into our parlay plays for this card. Let's start off with the even money parlays. Starting out with a fight goes the distance parlay. I got Saldana Souza, fight goes the distance. Magny Griffin, fight goes the distance. Comes at the plus 128 over on FanDuel. So Saldana and Souza, both these guys don't really have too much power. Saldana does have a couple finishes on his resume, as well as submissions and KO TKOs. But in the UFC, he hasn't really come close to that. Saldana seems to be like a kind of adrenaline dump guy in the first round, and then just slows and fades away. And doesn't throw as much output as he would like to in probably those later rounds. Souza also, on the other hand, not too much of a power guy himself. I mean, I don't see too much power out of him. I don't see too much volume out of him. He's got the karate stance, so he's kind of going to be hard to hit. Saldana, might not have success in getting those shots landed on Souza, and Souza, blitzes forward with some strikes, but they're not too powerful in my opinion. I think both these guys are durable enough to take each other's shots and definitely go the distance. Second leg, Magny and Griffin fight goes the distance. Similar situation, but obviously we're moving up some weight classes here. So, power is prevalent here and finishes could happen. But, Magny, he's gone through a decision a lot of his most recent fights. He's not much of a finisher, really. I mean, at least recently. He's got good fight IQ. He takes it to the ground when he needs to. He clinches up a lot, and that eats a lot of the time of the clock up. He's got great cardio, so if your opponent doesn't have great cardio and can't keep up with that pace, maybe he can get a late finish. But Griffin, on the other hand, has pretty good cardio as well. He has good movement. He's going to be able to probably evade some of the shots that Magny throws at him. Griffin, on the other hand, also a decision guy a lot. 2 fights ago, he did get a finish, but I don't think it was against the greatest opponent. And he did get another one again. It was a doctor stoppage. Ramiz Brahma's ear fell off, essentially, from a pretty heavy Griffin elbow. But I like Magny to be able to control this one and kind of keep it where he wants. Magny has the range here, so he can strike at distance. He's good in the clinch. He can use the wrestling probably here. Griffin could probably use the wrestling if he wants to as well. I think a lot of wrestling exchanges happen here. A lot of clinch exchanges happen. I don't see a finish in this one either. So Dan Souza fight goes the distance. Magny Griffin fight goes the distance. Plus 128 over on FanDuel. The second even money parlay, we got Oleinik Latifi over 1.5 rounds and Daukaus Borshev over 1.5 rounds. This comes out to plus 157 over on DraftKings. First leg, Oleinik Latifi over 1.5 rounds. I like this one because I don't think both of these guys, they're both heavyweights, but I don't think they possess the power to really knock each other out. Both of them do have good chins in their own rights as well. Oleinik has been finished a good amount in his career, especially recently. But I mean, if you watch those fights, he doesn't get knocked out cold. He takes a lot of these shots. He eats them. He tries to eventually clinch up, but sometimes he just can't. Latifi doesn't really have that kind of power. I mean, he does, but it's not technical at all. He's just kind of throwing haymakers, essentially. I mean, Latifi is just pretty much a wrestler. Oleinik, on the other hand, he's just a grappler, essentially. So, we have a wrestler and a grappler here going up against each other. Not much of them have a very good striking technique. Oleinik could potentially get the submission, but Latifi never subbed in his entire career in MMA. He's a big guy. I feel Latifi can probably get takedowns. He can probably hold top position and kind of just work his way there and just kind of hold the fight there and finish. Latifi doesn't throw a whole lot of volume either. He doesn't really try to throw a ton of ground and pound. That is a potential here, but I don't really see it. So I definitely like this one to go to distance, but definitely over 1.5 definitely saves us in case one of these guys gasses hard and the other takes advantage of that. But again, I don't see it happening, but we will get saved in case of that for having the over 1.5. The second leg here, Daukaus versus Borshev over 1.5. I like this one too. Borshev does tend to slow or start somewhat slow. He's a good kickboxer, so a lot of times that what they do is they're just getting reads, for the first minute or two, and then they'll start striking a little more after that. Daukaus super well rounded, or I shouldn't say super well rounded, decently well rounded in all areas. Pretty decent striking, pretty decent wrestling, pretty decent grappling. Daukaus, I think he's going to want to obviously take this one to the best path to victory. I mean, Borshev, we all know, he doesn't have the best wrestling defense. So he's taken down pretty easily, but he is able to work his way up. He's not down there for the whole round. Generally, after a minute or so, he works his way up to the fence or can able to get on his feet on the hips, push away, get back up, break the clinch, and get back to striking. So I like this one to go over 1.5 as well. I think Daukaus, he's never been finished by KO in his career or TKO. Borshev could be the guy to do it, but I mean, Daukaus, he has fought a lot of good competition in terms of strikers and has been able to survive over that 1.5 mark and even into decisions. And then, Daukaus, expect him to clinch a lot, expect him to wrestle a lot, go for takedowns, try to hold Borshev down and get top control time. So, Oleinik Latifi over 1.5, Daukaus Borshev over 1.5, plus 157 over on DraftKings. Moving on to the Juicy Parlays. We got a 3-legger here. I got Fiort by decision, Grasso by decision, Blaydes by KO TKO. This comes at the plus 564 over on FanDuel. Fiort by decision. I mean, I just think Fiort is levels above her opponent in Jennifer Maia. I mean, Jennifer Maia's striking, in my opinion, is just okay. I think she has accuracy problems, honestly. I don't think her takedowns are very good. I don't think her grappling. I think her grappling is pretty good, but she doesn't have the opportunity to use it much because she doesn't really have the wrestling to get it there. Fiort, on the other hand, really high-level striker, throws high volume, puts on a pace, puts on a pressure, has good cardio, can wrestle as well, and shows that she has smart fight IQ and good grappling defense. She knows when to get out of certain situations when she is in trouble. Grasso decision. I also like Grasso here. I think she's the better striker. I think it's probably going to take place on the feet. Wood here, she's also a good striker. She throws a lot of leg kicks, though, and she does throw good volume, that it does look favorable in the judges' scorecards. But, I mean, Grasso has looked so good recently. Her boxing's really crisp. She's definitely improved upon her wrestling and her grappling as well. We've seen that look pretty decent as of recent. And then, Joanne Wood, we haven't really seen her on her best, really. She's getting up there in age. She just hasn't looked as good as she has in the past. So yeah, definitely I think I edge Grasso here. I think she's going to do better on the feet and probably piece her up there. And then the third leg here, Blaydes KO TKO. I think I do favor a KO TKO, but I favor it late. Daukaus, again, he hasn't been much out of the first and or second round. Mostly in his career, Blaydes does have that big wrestling style. I think he's going to be successful with the wrestling, get the takedowns, get the top control. Blaydes may be somewhat successful in getting back up to his feet or limiting the damage for the first 2 rounds. But after that, I think he's just going to get so tired, so gassed, and Blaydes is going to continue with that wrestling and eventually get him out of there with some big ground and pound. Fiort decision, Grasso decision, Blaydes KO TKO, plus 564 over on FanDuel. Moving on to our second juicy parlay here. We got Matthias Nicolau, money line and over 1.5 paired with Latifi decision. That comes at the plus 620 over on DraftKings. So Nicolau, I did kind of switch. So I was on the Dvorak side initially earlier this week, but I think I switched over to Nicolau here, and I'll tell you why. He's fought the better competition, and although maybe he should have lost that fight against Manel Kape, in my opinion, I mean, he still put on a really good performance against Manel Kape. He put on a good pace, a good pressure, landed good shots, grappled well, wrestled well. I think he's a little bit more well-rounded than Dvorak. Dvorak does have the volume that he throws a little more. I think that could be an issue. But, I mean, Dvorak also fought like 3 nobodies in the UFC. So, I mean, with Nicolau coming in with these 2 UFC fights in his most recent UFC stint, I mean, Manel Kape and Tim Elliott, they're great opponents. He beat Tim Elliott outright for sure, and Tim Elliott's a tough opponent to beat. And I like the over 1.5 here because I don't rule out a submission from Nicolau. I mean, he probably does have the grappling edge here if he's able to get it to the ground, and he could get into a bad spot for Dvorak, and Nicolau could take opportunity of that and get a late sub. Other leg here, we got Latifi by decision. Won't go into it too much because I already went into the Oleinik Latifi over 1.5 earlier. But I like Latifi to get a decision here. I think he works the wrestling good. I think he gets the takedowns. I think he holds the control down of Oleinik. Oleinik is going to try to sweep him and or work his way up to a single leg and switch positions. But I don't think he's going to be successful at that. I think Latifi is going to be able to hold top control, top pressure, similar to how Sergey Spivak did on Oleinik his last time out. So, yeah, we got Nicolau money line and over 1.5 with Latifi by decision plus 620 over on DraftKings. Moving on to our long shot parlays. We got Gutierrez by decision and Borshev by decision. This comes out to plus 1481 over on FanDuel. So Gutierrez by decision. I ended up going with this one. Now his opponent Dana Batarao, also really good in his own right, and it's a close fight. But Gutierrez has gone the distance a lot in his career. He has the cardio to do so. He's not going to slow. He's a really good technical striker. Fights from the outside, although Dana is going to have the reach advantage here. But Dana, I mean, he just seems like I watched the tape earlier on him today. And, yes, he's got power, but I don't think the technicality there. I give Gutierrez the technicality edge. I think he's just going to outpiece him. Dana may land the bigger shots, which could land him the decision, because I do favor this one to definitely go to decision. But I just think Gutierrez will play it smart here, and he'll chip away at Bana and get a lot more volume on him and maybe probably squeeze out a close decision victory. Ooh, excuse me. And then the other leg here, Borshev by decision. Again, Daukaus never been finished by KO, TKO. He's been in there against good competition. Borshev, though, he's definitely going to have the striking advantage for sure. He gets back up to his feet quickly. He's going to land big shots for sure, but, Daukaus may be able to survive. I think he will be able to survive. And Borshev, he doesn't have the greatest cardio, so once it does get to that third round, he will be still swinging and going for the finish, but he may not be able to get it because he's too tired. I like Borshev to get the decision win over Daukaus. Gutierrez decision, Borshev decision, plus 1481 over on FanDuel. And then we got our final parlay and final long shot parlay of the card. We got a Nicolau decision and Askarov submission, plus 1464 over on FanDuel as well. So Nicolau decision, again, I did say there is a potential for him to get a late round sub, but I do think he'll be able to get the decision here. Dvorak has been finished, I believe, by submission and KO TKO once in his career, once each. However, this was way early in his career. He's greatly improved upon that. Again, I think Nicolau has probably the better grappling. He is pretty good with his striking in terms of what he lands. He picks good shots. He is sometimes patient, though, and doesn't throw as much volume, which could be bad for the judges. Don't mind me picking my nose. I like Nicolau here. I definitely like him to go to decision. And then Askarov by submission here. I like this submission play, to be honest. I think it's good odds, and I think it's a good, leg in a long shot parlay. Kai Kara-France, he's been submitted before in his career a couple times, especially when a pace and a pressure is put on him. And Askarov is that pace pressure guy. High-level wrestling, high-level grappling. If he gets you in some compromising positions, I'm not surprised if Askarov's going to be able to pull off the submission here. Again, Kai Kara-France, I don't think he has the best of grappling in this division. He's up there in the ranks because of his striking, and his striking is good. But Askarov, he has good striking as well. He's got good power in his hands. Don't even potentially count out an Askarov like club and sub. That could potentially happen. I mean, he hit Tim Elliott really hard, almost put him out cold. But Tim Elliott is tough, and he's hard to put away in terms of a KO. I like Askarov to potentially get the sub here. And, I like it in a parlay piece and a long shot parlay. So Nicolau by decision, Askarov by submission, plus 1464 over on FanDuel. All right. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. If you like any of my parlays or dislike them, let me know in the comments. If you're playing any parlays of your own, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you got. I'm interested in hearing what my viewers play as well, if you got your own plays. This will be the last video of this card. We have a week break, which I will be enjoying because I've been behind on my tape for a while, so now I can finally catch up. So I will see you guys in the first or I guess the second weekend of April for UFC 273, I believe. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for watching. Appreciate it, and I will see you soon. Peace.